Up next, we have another power-packed keynote presentation on leading in extraordinary times by Ms. Linoy Kidd, CIO Markets and Security Services, MENAT, HSBC Bank Middle East Limited. I welcome you, Ms. Kidd, and the stage is all yours.
Oh, hi, and thank you so much for the invitation to talk today. Actually, I want to kind of take a little bit from the last speech that we heard and talk about how we dealt with COVID and the COVID situation as leaders from the front. And I want to explain a little bit about my philosophy of leadership. And hopefully that will make you think a little bit when you go home today. So I'll set you some homework at the end of the PPT. So my name's Linoy Kidd, and I run MSS in HSBC for Market Security Services. So I've been a leader now for over 13 years. And I started to really think about what it means to be a leader and how important that role is, because if you think about it, when you are in a leadership position within a corporate or within any organization, you become a role model to many people, which means that they are looking to you for their security, and they're looking to you for basically for how to set the scene for their day, their year, their 5-year plan, etc., etc. So the way that I try and lead, and I'll talk about COVID in a minute, is I really try and lead from the front. I really don't like doing anything that I won't ask my team to do. So if I ask my team to come in at 3 a.m., I'll come in at 3 a.m. And I will definitely be there alongside them. And I really feel like as leaders, it's much better to lead from the front than from the back. And you also need to be very aware of who you are as a person, where you come from, and any bias that you may have. So I've worked in 6 countries in my career, luckily for me. I've been in London, I've been in Mexico, I've been in Dubai, I've been in China, I've been in Hong Kong, and I've been in the Middle East. And I've been in a number of countries around the Middle East. And it's very important to me to know who's in the room with me and what makes them tick and how to get the best out of them. Because when you get the best out of people, you can deliver anything. And I'll give you an example. So I moved to Dubai 1 month before COVID hit us, 1 month before the lockdown. I had to do something which we've never done before in the bank, and that is to get all of the business working with no gap in their time from home, and ensure that we had everything compliant to do so. And so, as you can imagine, we worked long and hard to do that. We worked through the night to do that, and we managed to do it. And I managed to do it with just 1 month of being in the job. Imagine. So I had to take a team from pretty much from scratch, say to them, I'm your new leader, and now I'm going to lead you in extraordinary times. And it was very important to me that they could see that I was on the journey with them, and that I would protect them, and I would be there for them and lead with them in what was a very extraordinary time, something I've never experienced before in my career. And I think it's made me a better leader for that. So I am an E. I'm an extrovert. E stands for extrovert. I love being in the office. I love talking to people. I love talking to my team. I'm always in the office. If I can be in the office, I'll always be in the office. I hated working from home before COVID hit. And when COVID hit, I had to work from home. And I realized that that was hitting my morale. And I thought, well, if it's hitting my morale, it's definitely hitting my team's morale. And I started to think of ways, completely think outside of the box ways of ensuring that we stuck together as a team. We knew where the pain points were, and we delivered. And we did a lot of interesting things during that time. So every day I would do a stand-up with the team, and a stand-up being, we would literally be on a call and go around, what you're working on, what's your priority, what you're going to do today, in a very agile manner to make sure that everything was fit for purpose, and the business, at the end of the day, the business would have seamless support from us. And also we would do a checkpoint. How are you? How are you doing on a scale of 1 to 10? What's your pulse? How happy are you? So that was the first thing we do. The other thing that we started to do, I'm a big sports fanatic. Anyone that knows me knows that I do a lot of sports. So when I lived in Hong Kong, I did a lot of dragon boating and OC, which is canoeing, and I would compete on the weekend. But obviously couldn't do that during COVID. So I set up basically CrossFit. So, when you are at work, that you're going to close the laptop at a defined time, whether that's 6:30, 7 p.m. Or 5:30, that you're going to close the laptop, and then that's I am now changing from work mode into home mode. Well, during COVID, there wasn't that. So for me, the work mode into home mode was actually, I would go and do CrossFit. And the way that we did it is I invited all of the teams that I used to manage around the world. I invited them all to CrossFit. So I invited Canada, Mexico, I invited Americas, London. And so we had this amazing virtual, energy ball to help us through the morality of that. So it ended up being, leading through sport, but also at the end of the sport, we would talk, oh, how are you? How's it going? So it would end up being this huge, amazing network of people that came together to talk about how they were feeling, that was set outside of the daily work stand-ups, etc. So that's one of the things that's the second thing that we did. And the third thing is that we had virtual coffee, and also fun, what we would call fun days. So I would get the team on a call, and we would literally do, think of something that you want the other person to do, and they'll do it. So we had a singing competition, a musical competition, a star jump competition, a push-up competition, etc., etc. So as part of that, actually, what happened is the team grew extremely close, and that meant that we could deliver a lot to the business. And we had an extraordinary year that year during COVID, not thinking that we wouldn't, but actually we did. So we turned it on its head, and we kept the morale high due to all of that. And I think now that I'm back in the office, I think that I need to obviously bring a lot of that human side back into what is now the normal working, because I really feel like during that time that we became extremely close, and now it's just like delivery. So anyway, that's something that we did during COVID. It worked really, really well. And during this hybrid mode that we've still got, we do some of it, but not all of it. Now, the other thing that I try and do is make my team as diverse as possible. So I try and bring as many cultures as in, and also I ensure that any culture that I have that I know that they don't like to speak, I will bring them into the conversation. So in China, a lot of people tend not to speak. So I'll always say, okay, what do you think? Because actually the person that's really quiet in the room is probably the one that's going to give you A, the most feedback, and B, will probably come up with a solution that you really need. So you really need to coach that out of that person. And usually the noisiest person isn't the one with the solution. Just something to think about. And then the other thing that I really hate micromanaging. So if I'm telling my teammate you have to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, then I feel like I've failed as a manager and as a leader. I really want to empower my team and ensure that I will take away the blockers for them to deliver. And that's the way that I manage. And that's the way that I've always managed. It's taken me a while to get there, but that's the way I've always managed. So again, do we understand our people, what makes them tick? And do we embrace their uniqueness and their culture and tap into their potential? So I have a very big thing about making sure that you have your people in the right location with the right skill set, doing the right thing at the right time. And you, in order as a manager to do that, you need to tap into their psyche, and you need to understand them, and you need to understand where they're going to excel. Because a person that is not excelling is going to not deliver as much as they can for you. So I always see, okay, what's this person? What's the uniqueness about this person? I'm going to ensure that I put them in the right place for that. And I've moved people around to facilitate that in my teams. And then, because I really like to get as much as I can out of people, because I really do feel that everyone can fulfill their potential. And if they're not in the right place, then they can't fulfill their potential. And that's going to have an impact on delivery to the business. And then this is just about showing up. So being a leader and showing up and making sure that you're in control. So I've had a lot of instances of production issues, network failures, etc. But I always stay calm, and I don't get flustered, and I will always think of how to get to the solution. And ensure that all parties are communicated to. And I think it's very important when you're leading that you understand that people are looking to you in times of adversity to lead them. And if you get flustered or you get angry, then you are going to upset that paradigm. And that will cause a rift in your team. So you really need to think about that. And I was given some really good advice about 3 years ago. I went to Sandhurst and did a course at Sandhurst, and they said leadership is not just about leading from the front; it's also about being an effective follower. If you can follow the leader in front of you and you're an effective follower, it will actually make you a better leader. If you are disruptive as a follower because you want to be the leader, then if you go to war, which Sandhurst is all about going to war because they're basically teaching the army, then you won't be able to react to the situation because you're continuously saying no to the leader, and therefore that would have an impact on your team, and your team could effectively have an issue because of that. So it's very interesting. It's a very interesting way to look at life. As soon as I heard that, an effective follower, I realized, yeah, actually, it's very, very important. If you have someone in your team that's not effectively following you, it can have an impact, and it can have an impact to your delivery as well. So the question that I always ask myself, and I would urge you all, if you are leaders and if you are going to be future leaders, which most of the people on this call will be, ask yourself, will my team go to battle for me? Will they go into battle? And if the answer is no, then you need to ask them why. If the answer is yes, then you're doing something right and you need to pat yourself on the back. So yeah, think about that and ask yourself. And if you're a leader, go in tomorrow and ask your team, would you go into battle if I was your leader, and see what they say. And then this is all about strategy. So it's very easy when you're very busy, and everyone is very busy, especially now. There's a lot going on. You know, everything is moving at a very fast pace, especially because we've got new technology and cloud is coming fast, and we've got blockchain, and we've got, you know, every technology coming our way that basically is going to change our footprint. It's very important to take yourself out of the weeds and look up and say, okay, what is our strategy for the next 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year? How am I going to get there? Am I effectively leading us there? Have I got the right team to do that? Have I got the right skill set to do that? And if no, then set up a strategy plan. So I always try and put some time in the day. I call it an 1 hour thinking time. So I come into work early and I give myself 1 hour thinking time of how am I going to set the strategy? What's going to be my day today? And how can I move us to the next level? And the other thing I do is I always wake up and I say to myself, what am I going to learn today? And who am I going to teach today? Because I always try and do a push-pull. So I think life is always about evolving and learning, and especially when you're in technology, because technology is moving at such a fast pace that you have to keep up with the times, and therefore you need to give yourself intellectual time to think about how to do that. So it's very, very important to, as a leader, always give yourself at least 1 hour of what I call 1 hour of thinking time. And another thing that I was taught is, if you are in a bad mood for whatever reason, and everyone gets in a bad mood, it could be that your kid woke you up at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. and you're just not thinking straight. Do not head into work with that mindset. Go to a coffee shop. I know it's Ramadan right now, so you won't be able to drink a coffee, but go to a coffee shop, sit down and change the mindset. Whichever way you can, change the mindset, especially if you're a leader, because if you set the tone of the day as being in a bad mood or aggressive, or you're going to start shouting at someone, or you want to pick a fight, it's not going to help anybody. You really, really need to give yourself time to change the mindset. It's really important to change the mindset. And I do that. Sometimes I'll literally stop outside the office and say, am I ready to lead today? Yes, no. No? Okay, I go and I sit down and coffee and I go and put my head right. And then I'll go and walk in. Because it's very important. We as leaders are setting the tone for our people and the people around us. And we don't realize it, but we are role models. And so that's when you walk into work, you need to be saying to yourself, I am a role model. And my brand is to be calm under stress, to be whatever your brand is, write down what your values are, understand who you are, and then go in and be that person and be the best person that you can be for your organization. And then it's very important to work as a team. So there's no way that I can deliver what I do without my team. And, and we deliver a lot with a very, very small team. And it's very important to help each other. If you are going to be finger pointing and not helping and putting blockers in the way, it's not going to help anybody. You really have to help each other. And that's my ethos. I will help anyone that comes and asks for help. I will help them. And together, you're just very, very powerful, and you can do anything. And I really do believe that anything is achievable. I'll give you an example in a minute. And you should never give up. So there's always a solution to the problem. Always, 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 always. There's always a solution, and you will find it. I know sometimes it feels like there isn't, and it's going to be hard and it's tough and it's this, sometimes places are very bureaucratic, etc., etc. But there's always, always a solution, and you can always you can always get through the barriers. So this is basically a synopsis of everything that I've just told you. So you need to ensure that you have the right people in the right skill place at the right place, always proactive thinking outside the box, value adds. I always employ people that are brighter than me. That's another thing that I do. I'm always trying to find that next level of, wow, they really think outside the box. They can really help me push the boundaries of what we're capable of doing. And you know, you can really set a high achieving team when you've put all the pieces together. And then when I say to you that anything is possible, so 7 years ago, I was on a management training course, and we had to do something to give back to the community and HSBC as a whole. And so we set out to build a school ourselves with our own hands, and we did it. So 7 years ago, we walked 100 kilometers non-stop to raise the funds for that school. And we built the school with our own hands. So this is HSBC employees going to Malawi, building the school. We're not builders, but we did it anyway. And my manager at the time said, "Oh, this is amazing. It's outside of the day job, etc., etc. Do you think you can keep it going?" And since then, we've built 6 schools and walked 2,000 kilometers and basically educated over 5,000 children worldwide. And that's, you know, that's something that that I'm most proud of, and is my legacy. So my homework to you is, what is your legacy? So when you go home tonight, say to yourself, if I die tomorrow, what am I leaving? What is my purpose? And what is my legacy? And if you don't feel like you have a legacy, stop putting it down. Start laying the foundation of the legacy, and working towards something that you can say, I did this and I'm like crazy proud about it. You know, for me, I'm so proud of many things. I mean, I'm really proud of my team and what we achieve in such a small, you know, space of time, especially during COVID. Becoming a CIO was another thing, and then building these schools and educating these children are absolutely, you know, beyond for me. And so I always say, if I die tomorrow, I'll die happy. So if you can't say that to yourself, that's my homework to you. What is your legacy? So I'll stop sharing this, and thank you all for your time. I hope I haven't run over. I probably have. If you've got any questions, just post them and I'll reply back to you.
Thank you for an extremely insightful presentation, Ms. Kidd. Please enjoy the rest of the day and the rest of the summit.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.